Welcome to Something Special Designs by Tina Williams, where I create cottage, French country, shabby, and farmhouse decor, all with thrifted items. Sit back and enjoy today's video, and if you like it, please do me a favor and give me a thumbs up, share, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so that you'll know when I upload future videos. Hi everybody, this is Tina with Something Special Designs. I just wanted to come on here today and say thank you to everyone and put a face to my channel and these hands. I am greatly appreciative of all of the people that have subscribed to my channel, who have liked, who have commented, who have watched it. It's a brand new channel and I've had a great response. And I greatly appreciate everyone that has taken an interest in my channel. I want to put a special thank you out there for all of the people that have followed me over from my other channel, Rehatched Designs by Tina Williams. That is a channel about junk journals, and I'll put a link in the description box if you don't know what a junk journal is or you're interested. And anyway, I just wanted to say thank you and how much I appreciate all of the interest in my channel. And I will keep trying to improve my content. I will put more content out there. And the great thing about it, when you show me that you like a video, when you comment on it, when you share it, when you subscribe, it lets me know what you like. And then I can continue to try and give you more content that you want to see. And it also lets YouTube know what you like, and it helps my channel out a lot, especially being a new channel. So if you haven't subscribed and hit the notification bell, please do that, because it will help me a great deal. And I greatly appreciate everyone that has taken an interest in my channel. And anyway, so on to today's content, and know that I am always trying to improve, and I hope to see you again soon. Take care. So project number 1 today is a tray it's a tin tray. It is not a silver plate. And I am going to be painting this with drop cloth by Dixie Belle. And I have sprayed it with a Krylon clear matte sealer. I did 2 sprays with that first. And so I'm going to go ahead and be using drop cloth to cover this. I absolutely love drop cloth. I think it really does. It's the color of drop cloth. So, I mean, I've used it on drop cloth and you can even tell. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and do 2 full coats of this. Actually, it's like 1.5. One really covered it. When you put that primer on there, it really makes a big difference. And so I did basically 1 coat, and then I just kind of filled in. And I did the front and the back. The great thing about when you paint these just tin trays, you know, honestly, you can't tell that they're just tin then, and they look, to me, they just look so much more, I don't know, high end when you do that. Plus, there's so many things you can add to it once you paint it. So after I've painted it front and back, I have these little feet that I bought on Amazon, and I will put the link to that in the description box. And I really like these on the metal trays or, you know, silver plate, because they are metal also. They come with screws for you to put them in wood, but obviously you can't do that. So I am using Gorilla Glue maximum strength, and I also use a drop or 2 of their super glue with it. I know a lot of people use hot glue, but I like this better. The super glue is a gel, and it actually gives you a few seconds to mess with it, to kind of move it around before it actually sets up. Whereas the hot glue is kind of immediate, so you got to get it right the first time. And I also think it gives you a better bond So I'm just going to put these on there, and I'm trying to get them directly across from each other because I'm going to put a total of 4. On a round tray, I usually only put 3, a round smaller tray. So now that I have these on, I'm going to let them dry, and then after they dry, I'm going to go ahead and paint them with drop cloth. So after I get all of those painted, I'm going to let those dry. And then I'm going to take my Dixie Belle clear coat flat. And I'm going to go ahead and cover this with one coat front and back. I'm going to let that dry completely. Make sure it's completely dry for the next step. And then I'm going to be using these transfers. They're absolutely, I don't have all of them, but they are by Prima, and they are really cute rabbit. I think I used just a couple of them. So you saw most of them. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be cutting this out to figure out where it's going to fit on the tray. So I'll be cutting it a lot closer to the actual transfer. And so I've got that about as close as I can so I can figure out where it's going to go. And when you put a transfer on, you do not want to take that transfer sheet off, that white sheet off, until you're absolutely ready to put it in place, because it will stick. And you don't want it to stick before you're ready. And then you want to hover over whatever you're going to put it on. I always stand up because I can always tell where the middle is better and where I'm placing it. And then I kind of stand over it and I hover over, and then I place it down, because once you place it down, it's pretty hard to pick it back up without losing some of your transfer. And so then what I do is I go ahead and use the transfer stick and just start rubbing it on. And it's really not hard to get these on. You just rub over the whole thing, and when you feel like you've hit almost all of it, which sometimes you usually always miss some, you will go in the corner and start to lift up. If you feel any resistance at all, go back over it and just keep rubbing it down until it sticks. And once you get your transfer down, then you want to take the shiny part of the transfer sheet and you want to burnish the entire thing, which basically is making sure that all those little pieces and all the ends are adhered well. Then I picked a few more pieces from this same set, and I decided to put them on the tray as well, or I'll riser really, now that we put the feet on it. And you go through the same process. And I will also link this in the description box. I actually got this set of transfers off of Amazon. These little pieces come off very easily. The important thing on transfers is you want to seal your project first, but do not use wax. Transfers don't stick to wax very well, so if you do that, you'll have a very difficult time getting them to stick. Just use some sort of sealant like the clear coat. So now what I'm doing is I am taking my Dixie Belle flat clear coat and I am taking just a drop of Distress Ink Vintage Photo by Ranger, and I am just making kind of a glaze. It's also going to seal my transfer in. You always want to seal your transfer after you put it down. You can seal it with wax after it's down, but I'm using this, and what that's going to do is it's going to give it a little bit of a vintage look without putting wax, and it's also going to seal my transfer in at the same time. And I'm just going to go over the front and the back with this one coat. And one thing I always do on any of my trays or any of my risers, I always go later and go with 1 or 2 coats of polyacrylic flat paint afterwards, because I want them to be pretty durable, and polyacrylic is food safe. So I do that, and here's our finished riser. I think it turned out really well. Super cute. So on to project number 2. These are some peat pots that I got from Amazon. You can get them anywhere, I think. Walmart has them. I believe the dollar store. And I'm going to take that drop cloth and I'm going to just be painting these. I believe I do about 6 of them. And I'm not going for full coverage here. I'm just trying to kind of put a base coat on. We are going to be using napkins on these, and they have a white background, so I do want them to blend in. But I also want that rustic look of the pot to show through. I'm not doing the inside, just kind of barely going over the bottom. And I will do 6 of those. And then I'm going to take a napkin, and I got these napkins off of different places, some off of Amazon, some off of Temu. And you do have to take the layers off. This had a total of 3 layers, and I took the 2 layers off. And so we are going to be looking for rabbits that we can put on, or images that we can put on the pot. Obviously this one's going to be too big, but we're going to take it out and then we'll put it on there and decide how much of it we're going to take off and what we're going to take off. And I was just using a water brush, or you could use a paintbrush with water, but I don't like a perfect edge, so it blends in better if you do not have a perfect edge. And I'm using my Dixie Belle Clear Coat Flat as my adhesive, and it's also going to seal this in as well. And I like using a fan brush because it's very gentle, and with the napkins, just because they do have a tendency to tear very easily. So I've kind of placed it on there, and obviously the whole thing isn't going to fit. And so now I'm going to take my water pen or water brush, and I'm going to just kind of go around the edge of where I want to tear it. It's going underneath the pot a little bit, but that's okay. And it's very easy to pull off the other pieces on top because they're wet. And if not, you can always come back later with a nail file and sand them off when they're dry. So then I'm just taking that same Dixie Belle Clear Coat flat paint, and going over the top. Now I'm picking out another little bunny rabbit to go on the back of the pot. And I'm getting rid of that little edge there. And I'm going to put that on there. And those two images fill most of this little pot. And what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be going through with different napkins that I've got from different places, and I'm going to be taking images and piecing them together on each one. And I'm just going to let you watch what I'm doing. It's basically the same process, just different napkins. I'm not being overly concerned with any wrinkles or bumps on this because the pot itself is very textured, so it would pretty much be impossible to get all of the wrinkles and bumps out. And I'm actually liking how it looks on here. And if you see how the white background on the napkin just kind of disappears completely. So on this one, I kind of teared the tail a little bit, but the great thing about these napkins, you can always piece them back together, or you can just take another piece and kind of fix what you've messed up. And now I'm just taking multiple images for this pot, and I'm going to be going all the way around with all these little pretty lit lavender images. And you'll see with that white background, they all just fit on there really well, and they seem to just, the background just fades in. You can overlap them a little bit too if you need to. The white edge will just kind of disappear. And these peat pots are very absorbent, so they'll absorb paint and they'll absorb your clear coat pretty easily and dry pretty quick. Now on this one, I cut the bunny out separately from this butterfly, and I actually cut out 2 bunnies and 2 butterflies. And when I put them on there, you'll just see that the butterfly just kind of fades, the white just fades into the background. These little pots are a lot of fun to do. It's very addictive. I think I made about a dozen of them. You're only seeing 6 that I did. You could use them to put little candies in as a little gift if you're having an Easter celebration. I actually am going to use mine as little place cards for my table, my Easter table. And if you'll see there, a good chunk of that rabbit is not going to be on there, but it still ends up looking really good with just what I put on there. So you just kind of have to look at your napkins, and look at your images and decide what you can use. And now I'm going to put my butterfly on there. I get to put it where I want it. And then I put another butterfly on. And now I'm doing a floral, and it is really big for the pot, but I will break it apart and it turns out looking really good. I went ahead and showed you all of these images because in the end, I don't think you can really see the images that well in my last shot, so I thought you might enjoy just watching me put the different images on. If not, you can always fast forward. And now I'm going to take a part of that image, 2 separate pieces, and I'm going to go ahead and put that on the other side. And kind of piece them together. And this is where they overlap a little bit, but you'll see it ends up looking really good. fills in all that space. I think this one turns out to be one of my favorites. So now what I'm doing is I am taking my air dry clay, and this is Jovi air dry clay, but any air dry clay will work. And I'm kind of rolling it into a little snake, and then I cut little pieces, and I'm going to be making little eggs that we're going to be putting in our little pots. And I basically just roll it round, and then you just take your hand and go back and forth, straight up and down, and what that will do is it'll make an egg shape. And I make quite a few of these because I'm putting probably about 5 eggs in each little basket. So when I'm done with my eggs, I am going to take some of my Dixie Belle buttercream. I think that's about the color of what eggshell is. It's a little bit lighter than drop cloth. It doesn't have the browner tones in it. And I am putting it in this little container and watering it down and just rolling them around. You could definitely use a bowl. It works. This worked pretty well. And then moving it around with my little spatula. Now I'm just going to put it on some paper to dry. And what you see there, these are these little tiny carrots that you can get from the Dollar Tree. I think many craft stores sell them as well. And as much as I like them, I think they're a little bit too bright. So I have a mixture of my vintage photo mixed with alcohol. I don't mix it with water because the alcohol dries a lot faster and it's more permanent. So I am spraying these with that mixture. And what this is going to do is this is going to just vintage them up a little bit. Going to make them look not so bright. So I'm going to let those dry. And now I've got some black chalk paint, and I put a little water in that container with the black chalk paint, and I'm mixing it up really well. And what I want is a very watery consistency so that I can take my fan brush and just tap it and put little tiny spots on my eggs. And that will give us a more realistic looking egg. So now what I have is some wire that I purchased from the Dollar Tree. And there is wire, it looks like twine, but it is actually wire that is covered in twine. So it is kind of stiff. I would say it's about a 20 gauge wire. If you do not have something like this, you could definitely use just wire, or you could use just twine. And then I'm using my crocodile to punch holes in the side of my little pots. You definitely can use just a regular hole punch. I'm using it only because I like the size of the hole better. But I tried it with a regular hole punch and it works just fine. They're very easy to punch through. So all I'm doing is taking these and putting some hot glue on the edges of these because they will come unwound a little bit, and it also makes them easier to put through the holes. Just be careful not to burn yourself. And then all I do is I place them in the hole. I go from the outside in, and then I twist them at the top just 1 or 2 times. If you want to, you could put a little dab of hot glue on there. And that is how I make the handle to my basket. So I do that on all of them. I like the look of this, and I like that it is stiff. So now what I'm doing is I have some lace that I'm cutting in half because it's too wide for what I want to use it for. I do that all the time. And then I am going to take some sari silk that I have. You could use ribbon, you could use anything that you have. And I'm just going to be tying a bow on each of these little pots just to kind of give it a little bit of a shabby look to it. Then I take a dot of glue just to keep the bow in its place. And I take the glue and I put a dot over each of the little handles where I put them in there just to kind of cover it up. They don't really look bad, but just it also keeps the ribbon and the trim up there so that it doesn't slide down. So I have it going all the way around. And so now what I'm doing is I'm just taking some packing paper that I have to stuff all of these all the way up to about, I would say, an inch from the top. And this is going to keep us from having to fill too much. I'm putting Spanish moss in there, and the paper was so that we didn't have to fill the whole thing with Spanish moss. And I'm taking my hot glue and just putting it all in there, and then I put the Spanish moss on top. Now, this is very messy, and one thing I did not show you is after I did this, I took some hairspray that I got from Dollar Tree. You can get it anywhere. Firm Control hairspray, and I sprayed my Spanish moss with it that was in the pots, and it does keep it from flaking as much. So now what you see is I have these really cute ceramic birds. I bought those off of Amazon, and I will put that link in the description box. And I'm putting our little eggs in there with the little bird. Just kind of gluing them down. I think I put a total of 5. I like to use odd numbers when I put things in. It just, I think, design wise, it always looks better. So now I'm going to be putting a little rabbit. I got this from the same place. It's a ceramic rabbit. It's a little bit bigger than the bird. Super cute. And I'm not doing anything to the rabbits or the birds. You could paint them if you wanted to, but I think they look good the way they are. And here's our little carrots that we vintaged up a little bit. You probably can't really tell the difference from what you're seeing, but it does kind of tone down the orange and make it look a little bit more vintage, I believe. So that's kind of how they look when they're done from on top. And I told you I was going to be using these for place cards. So these are the little plastic sticks that you get with the pots. And you're supposed to put them in the pot to, say what plant you're planting in them. And I'm using them as little place cards. And I've also taken just a tongue depressor or a craft stick, and I've cut it. You can cut them with your scissors, and made just a little square or rectangle. And I'm going to take my Waverly wax, my brown wax, and I'm going to use it to stain the stick and also the white stick, and also my little piece of craft wood there. Now I'm impatient because I'm doing my video, but you would let that dry and then you wouldn't have any issues. So then I'm just going to take my hot glue and put those together. And then I just take a marker and write the name of the person where they're, and that's going to be on their little plate for Easter, or by their plate. I just find a strategic place to put it. I think that looks really cute. I decide to move it more over to the side, but it goes in there really easily. If you wanted to hot glue it in there, you could. So now I'm just showing you, if you don't get the little plastic sticks with yours, you could, or you don't like how they look, if it's too big. I just took the actual craft stick or tongue depressor, and you can cut it to whatever size you want. And I do that, and I just make another little sign. And I'm going to do the same thing with that. I'm going to use my wax to stain it. I also cut the bottom of the stick to with a point to go in there better, but honestly, you really don't need to. You just tuck it in the side, and there you go. So that is the end of that project. I hope you like them. I think they turned out super cute. A really fun project. So our next project is our third project, and it is really easy. I got these little, I don't know what to really call them, but they're on basically just some cardboard, or it's cardstock really. It's not paper. It's a little heavier than paper. And if you see the top of those, they have little holes. And it's meant to make a banner out of these, and I got them from Temu very inexpensively. And I'm just showing you a frame that I had thrifted. And I'm going to be using Dixie Belle Mint Julep. I love, love, love this color for spring. It is perfect, perfect green color. And I'm just taking this, and honestly, it only took one coat to cover this frame. This is a very super easy project. This is such a pretty spring color. And this is just going to end up being a little shelf sitter. I'm not doing the back. If you were doing it for resale, then you might want to do the back. You may want to cover it later, but I'm not. This is just for my own use. And now I'm using the Dixie Belle white wax. I've never used it before. Everyone kept telling me how great it is, and I really love it. So I'm just using my wax brush and going over it. I have not clear coated this frame. The wax is going directly on the chalk paint because I want a lot of it on there. If you wanted to wipe off a lot, you probably would do a clear coat first. But I am just putting one coat on there. And I'm taking a paper towel, not a wet wipe, because I'm going to be wiping some of it off. Kind of amazing how this gold kind of nothing frame, I think, just turned out so cute. And all I do is I'm going to clean off that glass, and if you ever have marker or anything, I'm using alcohol. It also cleans really well too. Cleans your glass really well, but it takes that off. And then there we go. Super easy, but what an impact. I just cut out my little piece to fit, and we have this really, really cute little bunny picture. Goes really well with our decor. So now we're on our last project, project number 4. This actually turns out to be the one I love the most. So that is a bunny rabbit that you get from the Dollar Tree, and you've seen a lot of people get them. You can also buy some from Hobby Lobby and different places. What I'm doing is I am spraying this with the same mixture that I sprayed the carrots with. And it has alcohol in it. And I'm going to spray it all over. And I also sprayed the bunny with just plain alcohol before I even started doing that. I didn't show you that part. The reason I did that is I'm going to be taking this after I spray it and just kind of taking my hands over the whole thing and just kind of rubbing in that mixture. And it kind of spreads it out more so it's not as spotty. And now what I'm doing is I'm taking, this is an old piece of a quilt that I bought at a thrift store. A lot of times you can find them where they're damaged. This one was damaged in quite a few places. But if you get those for a good price, snatch them up because there's so many things you can do with them. And what I'm doing is I'm just kind of piecing or, measuring what I need because I'm going to make like a little dress for this bunny. So basically all I have is a big rectangle and I'm going to be cutting it at an angle. This is going to go on kind of like a smock type thing. So I've cut it kind of at an angle, basically the same shape as the bunny. And I could have overlapped it in the back, but you'll see what I do later. Now underneath the arms, I'm basically measuring, and I cut a little slit so that I can make little notches to where the arms go. And I'm just doing that to make this look more like a dress and not just a rectangle piece that I sewed on, or I glued on. Really, I'm not going to do any sewing. You can get as detailed as you want on this. I could probably have done all kinds of things. I was having so much fun. So I'm going to take the front and I'm going to kind of cut it to where she has a little bit of a neckline there. And I'm going to do that to the back so it's not just square in front. That's how it's going to fit, and just kind of shape it or any other pieces. And of course you could sew all the way around this. I have a sewing machine. I could have done that, but I wanted to do it non-sewing. And I'm going to glue that little part in the back. I just glued the very top. I'm actually not putting that much glue on this. So she's going to have an opening in the back temporarily. Now I'm gluing the pieces on the front. And now I'm taking a piece of lace that I had coffee dyed. And I'm kind of tucking it back underneath the part that I have that opening in the back, just to kind of cover up the back a little bit. And you can see those rough edges there. You could add lace to that. You could sew it. Now what I've done is this is a piece of a crochet doily that was ruffled on the edge. I bought this in a lot of crochet doilies, and this was, I think, had holes in it. If you see things like that, pick them up, especially if it's a good price, because you can cut them up and use them for so many different things. So now I'm going to be using this little ruffle, this crocheted ruffle around her neck, just to kind of give her a little bit of a collar. And I'll snip off any of those extra pieces. kind of gives her like a little cap sleeve. So now I've gone through my button stash and I'm putting some vintage buttons on there. Honestly, guys, you could go crazy. I think I'm going to go pick up some more of these and make a few more because I really had a good time with this. So now what I'm doing is I have some 20 gauge wire. It's kind of a heavier wire. And I am putting a little hole in the very ear of the bunny because I want to make this bunny have bendable ears. And I do know that some of the other ones you can get, like from Hobby Lobby and stuff, you can get them with bendable ears. But this is $1.25. So I'm going to go with it. And all I do is I stuff it in there and then I put a tiny dot of glue where the hole is that I put in there so that the wire doesn't pop back out. And you really don't even notice it. If you wanted to, you could put it in a more kind of an inconspicuous spot, but I think this works well. You really will not notice that little tiny hole. And so now I have bendable ears. So I do it to the arms as well. I do basically the same thing because I want them to bend. And all I did is the same thing you just saw me do, and I put the hole in at the top there that I showed you. I also added this little paper flower that has some lace and trim on her head. Now what I'm going to be doing is this is just a button that I have. It's a plastic button with a heart on it. And then I have some very small wooden beads. I bought this off of Amazon. You got like 4 or 5 different size beads. And I'm putting it on a thinner wire. You could definitely do it on string or elastic or anything. It's just what I had sitting around handy. And I am just going to put that on as her little necklace. And when I get it strung enough, I'm just going to kind of twist it and then smush it down with my little pliers so it doesn't stick anybody. And so she's got a pretty little heart necklace. And now that I have all that done, I've got about a 1-inch piece of just that same lace that I had coffee dyed, and I'm putting it at the bottom of her little dress just to kind of finish it off. You could go crazy and add layers and layers. Like I said, I could have probably done a ton more to this, but it was really a lot of fun doing this. So I'm just gluing it on the bottom and then cutting it off, and that way it looks a little bit more finished and it looks like she's got this lace peeking out from under her little dress. Later I have this chiffon mesh little bag, and I add a few of the carrots and the eggs that we made, and I put it on her hand, on her arm, because it bends. And here she is. I think she turned out super, super cute. Like I said, you could go totally crazy with this because use whatever material you have. If you don't have a quilt, you can make denim overalls if you've got the guy bunny, if you want to make a guy bunny. I think they have a brown bunny there too. So here's everything. I hope you all enjoyed this video. Please give me a thumbs up, share, like, and subscribe. And I hope to see you guys again soon. Y'all take care.